So we start every time. Mindfulness is my ability, awareness to see, oh, I'm thinking this, I'm feeling that, my body's sensing this, my body's wanting this. What is it? Who am I, the part of me that can see all those things? Because that's the beginning or the gateway to our awareness of our awareness. I would say everybody has awareness, but a whole lot of people may not know they have it. They use it occasionally, but mindfulness is about shifting our basic operating mode from our sensory brain and emotions to our state of inner awareness. So just take one moment here right now. What is that part of me that can see what I'm thinking, feeling, desiring, urging, and just looking for it chases it away. It's a very funny project, you know. Okay, so our state of awareness, it's been called many things, true self, real self, or being, Christ self is connected to that. It is a real aspect of our humanity that we can learn more and more to identify with as who I am, rather than identifying with this reactive nature and this intellectual nature as who I am. That awake, aware state has a few characteristics that are identifiers. When I'm in awareness, it looks out with a basic curiosity, not expecting answers, just like, oh, what's going on here? What's this all about? Where's this gonna? It's just a lovely state of lightweight curiosity. It looks out and sees beauty in whatever it's looking at. It's like, it's fascinating. Isn't that wonderful? That's its nature. It also looks with compassion. And I like to describe it as, I wish you well. Whatever's going on, even if they're being a complete jerk, if I go to my awareness, I'm going to deal with them being a jerk. But there's no sense of wanting to punish or harm. It's just, I'm going to do whatever I need to correct the moment. But see, so it's a very different flavor of our being, whereas our reactive self may very well want to destroy somebody or something, or dominate or possess or whatever. So this turning to our awareness is what's often called awakening, and it can be called all kinds of things. It can be called spiritual, it can be called psychological, that doesn't matter. But that's what awakening is fundamentally, is learning to step back into my awareness and wait. So today's topic I'm calling listening. Okay, back up one more. I have seen, and many others teach also, our awareness can generate new thoughts in our brain, whereas our brain itself can only process past data, which may be huge complex reactions. But if I get still and just, all right, there I see my brain's going nuts, anxious as hell, crazy, look at that. And I keep watching from awareness. For one, it begins to bring peace to me, but then suddenly a new thought may appear. That's very useful when I don't know what to do for a moment in a situation. Well, I don't have to think of something. I just can wait. And that is really the active component of what so many spiritual traditions call listening. Going within, listening to God, listening to the silence. But awareness brings it back out also. When I'm talking to you, anybody, I'm also listening even while I'm talking. I'm listening with my eyes. I'm listening to your body language. I'm listening to what the dog is doing at the moment. I'm staying in awareness and staying present when I'm in the state we can call listening. So it's a very cool thing to develop. I've played with this like at social get-togethers, and when I stay in awareness, I can listen and track 3 different conversations because I'm not trying to prepare a response to them. I'm just present. Well, the point is, when we are in that state, for the most part, life seems to go a whole lot smoother, more peaceful for us, more peaceful in our interactions with others. And I believe it actually transmits an energy of love and peace. So we're not triggering other people's defense mechanisms by our own reactions. And so the whole game of awakening becomes, can I want to? First, it's a choice. Can I want to return to my state of awareness right now? Nah, I'd rather be pissed off. Nah, I'm winning this battle. I'm going to keep going. So the first step is always, remembering I could be at peace, deal with this more peacefully. Do I want to? Can I make that choice? And it's important to become aware of this little process, because our unconscious reactions will grab us and we will be off, a fantasy or a battle, and it may be a while before, wait a minute, I'm not present. I'm in defense mode, I'm in battle mode, I'm in indulgence mode. So remembering I could be in awareness, do I want to choose to go to it? And then the third step is, yes, help me get there. It's been my experience that our own inner awareness, which I personally believe is tied to the divine, the source of my life, but when I turn to it and I can say help, it will actually pull me into my own awareness much better than if I try to willfully get there and hope, no, I'm going to stay present, I'm going to be peaceful, using the reactive willpower. Instead, it's just like, I'm a mess, a little help, please. And something happens. Awakening then is practicing this for the rest of my life. That's all there is to mindfulness itself. There are thousands of teachings of how to apply it, practices to use, to help me remember, to help me choose. But mindfulness itself is simply returning to my awareness, remembering I have it, choosing to go to it, get me there. And that's it. That is the key of it. Any mindfulness teaching tradition out there all come back to that key. They just have many, many ways they offer to help us get there, to do that tiny little practice. It's so simple. There's really not much to say about it, although I can talk forever about it. It's about me deciding I want to be a more peaceful, more compassionate, more connected, more present with my experience in this world and my experience with other people. So to wrap that up with listening, when I go to awareness, I'm naturally entering a state that is listening. But I can decide as a part of my practice, I want to be present. I want to be aware and listen to this experience at many levels. I want to be open to listen if it's trying to give me a new thought. And the thought may not be conceptual. It may be look over there, or try this if I'm trying to accomplish a task. And it'll be like suddenly my hand wants to turn a strange way with the tool and it works. It's like, wow. This listening is so multifaceted, and I love playing with it. It also applies what some might call psychological level, but it's listening behind and between the words that another person is saying. Yeah, they seem to be upset, but wait a minute, I see a wound there, and they're just, so anxiously trying to protect that wound. And no, they're not going to talk about it either. But listening, I can hear and see things of that nature. And then that may guide me to approach them in a different way than instead of just saying, just get over it, which is not often a big hit with people. The listening to them will leave me open to listening to spirit, to give me a thought. Anyway, you get the idea of what I'm pointing at. So let's hear other people's thoughts on listening or experiences. I love experiences.
Recently, I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and I highly, highly recommend it to anybody in the world to read that book. It's about what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love Eckhart.
There's also another teacher, Neville Goddard, who talked about the power of awareness, and it was. And that one's a much more like spiritual, like manifesting kind of vibe, but both of those I think really help. But for me, God, it's hard. I've tried to read the book over and over. When I start to slip back into my comparing what's happening now to things that have happened in the past, which creates that reactivity that we were talking about. Like if it's something that's happened to you a bunch, or it was like, it can become a trigger for you that you're not aware of. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, why am I so upset about this thing? Yeah. But that's you go back and you're like, oh, it's because it happened at this time or this time, and it was, and you have to separate, okay, this is different from then. Or this is not necessarily leading to something in the future that I need to be scared of.
Cool.
Like just being here.
Yeah. You've got a good step into that. It sounds like being aware when the reaction's coming up. And for me, I ask my awareness to help me transform it. That I believe spirit always, I like to put it, has a good intention for both me and them, whatever's going on. So transform my reaction. Instead of trying to suppress it or get rid of it or ignore it, it's like, no, I got this energy. And that's really what a reaction is a stored program of energy. Mine was anger at the world for being so stupid and mean. It took a long time. It was like decades. But once I discovered that awareness can transform these energies in me, instead of trying to wish they weren't there or say I shouldn't be like that, which is what the world teaches, don't be like that, be like this. Well, no, I am like that. It's in there. What do I ask it to transform it? And it was many strange results in that like for one thing, it was learning to speak up much quicker. And some people call it boundaries. I just call it awareness or clarity. And it's like, nope, we're not going down that road. We're not going to talk like that. We're not going to act like that. I'm not, and by calling things out instantly, whatever scenario was developing just dissolved because I wasn't interacting unconsciously with another person's program. I could just speak to it. Well, that relieved a whole lot of my anger because now I didn't have to deal with all these idiots forever. I could just, nope. So that was just an example. But asking for transformation of an energy or learning to make good use of it, how do I use this energy? We're all so different, When Brother Stefan is in his music world, I don't have a clue how that works for him. I really don't. And the best I can do is just try to sing along with my mediocre voice. And I realize we're in two completely different worlds. Well, when we realize that with everybody, we quit expecting them to respond or return a response that's like mine. So I'm listening to who you are instead of trying to figure you out or trying to say you should be different or maybe I should be different. I should be more like them. The point being, we all get to be us, who we are at the core. And Spirit will transform who I am at the core to be a more wonderful expression of life. That's what I have found. Rather than fighting what's in there or wishing it wasn't there. All right, it's there. It's ugly right now. Let's go to work, see what it can do with it.
What are some of the ways that you like to use that energy?
Well, it's like if maybe I start feeling a little bit restless and I don't know what that energy wants to do. So I'll just turn to my awareness and like, what's up? And wait a moment and then be like, all right, grab the camera, go for a walk, come out and work on wood burning signs, or it's just, it's more about applying it in every moment there's always energies coming up because we're going to have a personality our entire life. And some of them come up and it's like, yeah, that's the way I like it. That's me. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that energy at all. It's just, for me, I guess, if it's producing conflict, either in myself, between two desires in myself, or if it looks like it's going to produce conflict with somebody outside me, then I use that process of, all right, how can this express best? How can it be transformed if it's making me feel defensive or angry? So, I don't know if that answered what you're asking, but.
Yeah, I kind of think of like, especially I guess more like for artistic people, when you get really upset about things or you see something tragic,
Mm-hmm.
you can turn that into a piece of art in a way, writing about it or doing a painting of it, or lately for me the garden has been a good place to put my energy because I think of it symbolically of like I'm taking care of my mind when I take care of the garden. I'm getting good things growing, and I'm getting rid of the bad things or the things that were just unnecessary, not necessarily bad, but they weren't helping, let's put it that way. So just how to improve, I guess.
Yeah, it's just an ongoing experiment or adventure with this awakening. Just keep asking, what can I do with this? Or I still, if I see a current scene like from Gaza or something ICE has done, it feels like somebody has punched me in the solar plexus. And just talking about it here, I can feel it. But the thing is now, by just being aware of it and saying, all right, that happened, it dissipates. Where before it would build up and store up, and I would be very agitated by the end of the day from news going by on Facebook or something. So it's about letting energy be experienced for what it is, and then releasing it to flow and trusting my awareness. Somehow it flows. I don't know what happens when I feel that, but I know if I just say, okay, I see you, it just like dissipates.
You think that energy could be put into prayer for things like that?
I do that too, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
This morning at the table, Brother Stefan mentioned the prayer of abandonment by Charles de Foucault, and that's become one of my favorites. And I guess when it says, it starts, I abandon myself into your hands, which sounds so extreme, and it felt extreme when I first heard it. But I've come to see it as asking for that help, being willing to realize that I'm an instrument or a channel, or could be, more than somebody who's always doing something, trying to change something, that kind of energy. So it's, so that's how I see it. It's awareness, seeing what's really there, and transforming it. The words of that prayer are framed right next to the lamp if anybody wants to read the whole prayer.
Yeah, it's the brain mind. Sometimes people call it the ego. I don't really like that term the way it's often used. But the brain mind always wants an understanding, and basically the more complicated the process, the happier it is. Like, I'm going to study this for 5 years, and it's got 103 steps. Oh, it's a wonderful practice, because it's designed to think on things. That's its job, and that's not a bad thing. It's just, I learn with awareness growing that I can say, all right, brain, we're going to take a break right now. And then when I turn to that still space and listen, that is, I believe, the abandonment that prayers like that talk about. I'm giving up letting my brain control me, and I'm shifting to letting my stillness direct me. There's a difference. I've never heard spirit inside say, you have to do this. To me, it's always given as, here's the thing you can do. And it may be service, it may be artistic, it may be how to repair the snowblower. That's the abandoning the egoic brain that wants to remain in control. Stepping out of that control and surrendering to my stillness. And here we happen to believe that's our connection to the Holy Spirit and the divine, so we're abandoning the egoic self to enter into communion. So,
Thanks, that's better said.
it's, none of this is something that can be a should, not even to ourselves. Well, I should be more peaceful. Well, just look at it. Maybe in time you'll decide, yeah, I'm going to become more peaceful about this. You know, we're here on this amazing adventure called a life on planet Earth. And who knows what it's for from the perspective of the divine, of life itself. We get clues. I know what it's for me. For me, I love teaching mindfulness. I've been doing this for 30 years. That's my biggest passion. And the other is building little gadgets out of sticks and boards and things. I love doing that. But should I be more artistic? Should I be more of it? No. I'm just me. In every moment, what do I want to do? And I get input from people. Like, you're being a jerk. Oh, okay, I didn't see that before. Thank you. You know, the evolution is ongoing, but there's no should. People, we can't say people should wake up. It would be nice if they did, yes. But I can't ask a maggot person to become suddenly aware and different than they are, because that's not where their life is at. I have to be able to be at peace with the entire spectrum of life and trust that the divine is managing this thing called life on earth. It's just up to me to choose how to respond and interact with it in any given moment, not to demand that it be different either. And go. Any thoughts there, Brian?
A lot of what you said resonated with me. I would like to consider myself a relatively, like, I try to be as aware as possible, but you know, like someone said, you talked about slipping up into just like, reverting back to old ways of thinking and old habits and whatnot. And I feel like I oftentimes do that. And then I hit myself with all those, I should have not done that. Why the judgmental, you know, the self-criticism of I should have done differently, I could have acted differently. Really, I don't feel good about the way I'm feeling, so I should feel some other way. And it's probably all, you know, floating around the same sphere of just not being present and trying to, you know, be somewhere else instead of, like you said, kind of just using that and letting it transform your intuition and letting it guide you instead of trying to redirect that.
Yeah. It's the fact that you are aware eventually, oh, I wasn't aware just now, is the awakening. That is the awake part you've already got going on. So it's there. And the rude part is it takes some decades for certain parts of it. But it can become a much more fun adventure is what I'm offering. That part of us that judges ourselves, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or, oh man, what's wrong? That's a part of our biological survival system. Because in the wild, if you make a mistake, it can be fatal. If you eat the wrong berry, if you're not paying attention, and here comes the saber-toothed tiger. So that, if I can see that now, it's like, okay, there's that program from my biological aspect. Say, all right, I see I was wrong, it's okay. And to spirit, all right, help me stay aware next time or not run that program. But I found the more lightweight we can keep this awakening, the better faster, deeper at work. So, yeah, say, oh yeah, here I am judging myself again, kind of chuckle at it, and
Yeah.
you can step out of it quicker.
I never thought about that from the biological aspect of like why we do it, you know.
Mhm.
I always kind of look at like relationships or just personal growth, like my journey or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it really is biologically implanted, innate within us,
Yep.
that self-criticism.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of our programs are rooted in a biological survival mode, you know, and then society has abused that by inflicting shame and guilt and shoulds and achieving and success, and they've distorted what those programs were meant to be, you know.
Yeah. I think definitely like corporations that are trying to sell us things,
Mhm.
and going back to, I don't know who was there this morning for talking about how, you know, news articles or anything really these days online is like clickbait.
Mhm.
They're appealing to those lower level
Yeah.
vibrations of survival and,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, so forgive ourselves, you know, and I really try to catch any feeling of feeling bad about myself these days. It still comes up, but it's like, all right, I see you want to feel bad. It's okay. You slipped up, or maybe sometimes it's not even that I did anything. It's just feeling bad because it seems to get in moods like, well, am I not doing something right, or am I missing something? And it's like, it's a totally irrational feeling. And I'm like, all right, I see you. And again, that listening to it, bringing it into presence, I see you. Ask it, well, what? What do you need or want? And a lot of times it doesn't have an answer. Sometimes it does. You know, oh, all right, there's something I can attend to. So it's all done with acceptance and counting on grace. I'll just give one last thought, and then go offline here. Probably, maybe, someone else has experienced when your mind gets locked on an idea, and like you go think it over like 100 times and 1,000, and at 2 in the morning I'm still thinking it over. And I have learned a little practice. I tell it, all right, we're going to sit down and we're going to think through this loop one time, and I'm going to listen to everything you have to say in your loop. And it's okay, so then I give it however long it takes, a minute, an hour, and then I can say, all right, so we've looked at this. When we get some new data, we'll look at it again. Until then, please take a break. And for me, that has helped by listening to see, is there something? What's it pointing at, you know? Maybe it was a conversation with somebody that triggered me or ticked me off, and I listen and it's like, oh, all I need to do is say this if it occurs again. I see where it triggered me, you know, or where it violated a boundary. But then I call it quits. It's like, all right, brain, no, we're not going to sit here and loop through it another 1,000 times. But just offering that as a practice to experiment with for the week and have fun.
Thanks for that one at the end. I'd be on the amusement park Gravitron, going spinning around and around
Yeah.
Yep.
on the same loop sometimes.
Just shutting this down.
It's interesting you talk about the loop